Hello, I'm Chris Edmonds of the Purposeful Culture Group. Here's today's Culture Leadership Charge for SmartBrief. Our new podcast, Mastering Workplace Culture, is available on all your favorite platforms. Each week, we bring you unfiltered conversations with leaders who've transformed their organizations from the inside out. No jargon, no buzzwords, and no BS. Here are two powerful clips from our recent discussions with Tim Steinbeck, CEO of GRE HERC Services in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and David Mollitor Jr., President and CEO of Consolidated Electrical Contractors in Lansing, Michigan. In Tim's clip, he explains how challenging it was for team leaders to begin to hold everyone accountable for the new company values and behaviors. Leaders weren't used to coaching values. They were used to mandating results. Misaligned team members continued to treat others disrespectfully.
Well, it was a challenging time. Our maintenance leader, he aligned with the values, but he was ex-military, and he was pretty strongly aligned. You either do it or you don't. And those conversations between his team members that didn't align with that were sometimes pretty rough. And we had some just poor behavior, non-eye contact during meetings, and just childish behavior from men. But their body language certainly told them they didn't respect the leader, but they also didn't respect the values that we were trying to espouse in the workplace. And, we just stayed consistent and, said, this is what we expect. We're not seeing it. The supervisor and would, write them up or do some verbal coaching. And eventually, two of the team of five chose to leave. And while there were still a couple that weren't overly respectful, the instigators were not there to bring a majority to the team anymore. And we've since hired some good mechanics who also are able to live these values.
Tim describes how senior leaders rallied around the team leader and helped ensure every team member understood the new values and behaviors and the expectations of modeling them. The misaligned players were coached to embrace the new behaviors, but they chose not to. The company helped those two players leave the organization. They went to work elsewhere. It was a challenging situation, but allowed for hiring two new players, great mechanics who demonstrate the new behaviors, to replace those who left. In Dave's clip, he responds to co-host Mark Babbitt's question about what issues caused him to reach out for culture help.
What needed to change? I mean, why did you first reach out? What did you want to emphasize most at the very beginning of this process?
I think a fair answer, and it's probably not the best, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
We knew one thing, is that we didn't like who we were. We didn't like where we were going, but yet we were successful. Yeah, we were considered like one of the fastest growing companies. We were considered in our industry in Michigan, at the top of the top, regards to what we did, how we did it. But when you looked at yourself, and when we were in meetings, we were just like, why do we not like each other? Why do we not like what we do? And, it was this mindset that if the customer told us to have this light fixture hung in this atrium or forum, or foyer, and it's 25 feet in the air and I don't have a lift, I don't have scaffolding, but I was told to have it done by the end of the day. I don't care if you put those Chinese boxes all together and you stand on top of it and you hang that light, hang the light. I don't want to know anything else. And that was the wrong mindset. It was the right mindset, wrong way.
Dave explains that the leadership team's challenge at the time was that the company was successful, but leaders and players didn't get along. They knew how to make money, but the work culture was not healthy. They had tried a number of things to improve relationships and increase trust across the organization, but none of those efforts stuck. They needed guidance to define their ideal work culture, then to align and refine people, plans, decisions, and actions to that ideal culture. Results aren't the only important metric. In fact, results are half the leader's job. The other half, respect. New Mastering Workplace Culture podcast episodes launch each Tuesday on our YouTube channel and all major podcast platforms. What have I missed? What questions do you have? Add your comments or post your questions on my YouTube channel.